Thank you for tuning in to Stories in Your Hands with Cynthia Clark, the podcast about creating the life you want regardless of your story. This podcast is sponsored by loveinyourhands.com, the place to go to find long-lasting love using the most innovative and accurate algorithm based in scientific palmistry. Tired of superficial connections? Start your free Soulmate Connection membership today at loveinyourhands.com. Now here's your host, Cynthia Clark, palm reading consultant and compatibility expert. Hi there, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today. I'm Cynthia Clark, and I love talking about charisma. I'm really excited to bring in our guest and really dive into what that means and how do we get more of it. Because frankly, if you look at your hands, well, I definitely don't have it. So it's something I got to work on. So yeah, so we'll start off with a little palm reading, which is really fun. So how can you identify how charismatic you are? Actually shows up on your Apollo finger, which is your ring finger. Okay, so first off, you want to just take a look at how long is that finger. Okay, so by the way, you always compare the fingers to each other. So we want to compare the Apollo finger with the Jupiter finger, which is your index finger. Okay, so if you hold your hands up and you just put your fingers together, you can see if that finger is longer or shorter than the index finger. Okay, so the longer that finger is, the more your presentation energy naturally shows up. So in other words, you're going to be more charismatic. Now it gets amplified even further by your hand shape. And so if you also have a long Apollo finger combined with overall short fingers, and you can tell if you have short fingers based upon the length of the fingers versus the palm. If they're 3/4 the length of the palm or less, they will be considered short. And you also want to have a rectangular palm, which means that it's going to be longer than it is wide. That would be what we call a fire hand. So if you have a fire hand combined with a long Apollo finger, yes, we'll get to your hand here shortly, Lisa. Uh, that is somebody who exudes charisma, and they tend to have very magnetic personalities, and they just know how to present. So it's actually quite a great skill, but that's how you find it in your hands. So yeah, so that's today's palm reading lesson.
I love that. I love that. It's interesting. Doesn't matter what hand it is.
Well, you could have it on one or the other. In this case, sometimes people have like different strong fingers on one versus the other. Your active hand is going to be your dominant hand. So I would call that your primary archetype. And on your passive, it would be more of like your secondary archetype. So yeah, we call that the Wheel of Fortune. That combination is the Wheel of Fortune archetype.
Interesting.
So yeah.
I love that. So much fun. It's so interesting to learn about that. And I had no idea. And it is slightly longer than my index finger.
So welcome, Lisa. We're bringing in Lisa Meisels. She is the go-to expert helping female spiritual entrepreneurs and change-making coaches attract committed, high-paying clients without confusion, hype, hustle, or burnout, so that they can make a positive impact and transform the world. Yay, that's awesome. I love everything about you.
Thank you.
Well, thanks so much for coming on the show. This is so great.
Yeah.
So hold up your hand. Now we can have you hold up your hand and back it up so I can see it. Yeah, you're right. You do have a longer Apollo finger versus your Jupiter finger. So yeah, you know your stuff. You naturally exude this. And it looks to me like you've also got the short fingers, long palm. So there's the Wheel of Fortune right there.
Ooh,
Everybody can
very
see that,
cool.
Lisa. Woohoo!
And it's funny because when I was growing up until probably, I don't know, 10 years ago, I was this shy little mousy person.
Mm,
And and so it's really interesting when you peel off all the layers of stuff that you've piled on to protect yourself. Take
yeah,
off all those layers and see what's coming through.
yeah. And what's naturally available to you. So yeah, your
Yes.
hands definitely show like what's available energy. And some
Yeah.
people are just naturally more introverted. There's other introverted, extroverted markers as well, but that's it is kind of interesting to see that. So
Yeah.
so tell me, Lisa, how did you get started? How did you get going into what you're doing now?
Well, it's been a long journey. I've got in my professional background, I was a dietitian. And for the last 20 years of the 30 years that I was a dietitian, I was doing business consulting in different facilities. So the leadership part is like, that's a natural for me. But I got interested in online when things started getting management changes, right, happening. And I really wanted to do something different. And I found this whole online world, and I had to find my place. I had to figure out who I was again. And it was kind of at that transitional time when the kids were in high school and, getting ready to do their own thing. And so I had a little bit more free time. But that's what I was, it's like, it's a journey to find yourself, because I believe that our when we're in business for ourselves, we're the face of the business. And in order to be the authentic face of the business, it requires you to really dig in and find out who you are. And so that journey has been parallel with my business journey. And yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, but
Hmm. Well, that makes sense. I mean, uh, we definitely have to take a look at who we are and understand who we are. I mean, that's everything of what I do too, is help people to understand their true selves
yes.
through that, through their very own hands, which is so
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
And once you know that, it's like, wow, you can just start to look at yourself in such a more empowered way, you know?
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
yeah, that's how I really transitioned too, because I used to own a restaurant a long time ago.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was good at it. And again, it's sort of like, well, we can be good at a lot of things,
Mhm.
but it doesn't necessarily feed our soul,
Exactly.
and it's like, yeah, I enjoyed it. I worked really hard. I served a lot of people, but, the universe was pushing me to a new direction. So,
Yeah. Yeah. And that's kind of, I can I had trained my scientific brain, right? So I could do all the math, the science, the formulas, everything that was required for my position, and be very good at it. And so I started with strategy, thinking, well, everybody wants strategy. I've been learning strategy. I can teach strategy. But like you said, it didn't fill my soul. It wasn't like, that's not where I was headed anymore. And I knew that because every time I try and do something detail, my everything was saying no. Like, I couldn't do it. It's just like that was gone. Like, if you ask me anything about nutrition, it's like it's gone from my brain. That's not for me anymore. And finding your path that resonates with you, where you're supposed to go, is interesting, because you're always, I always say, follow the joy. And that's how you're on the right path, is if you're really inspired by what you're doing. And if you're off track, you're going to know it, because it's going to be a no. There's going to be conflict. There's going to be struggle. There's going to be hardships. There's going to be, like, that's not it. Right.
mhm,
So,
exactly. So yeah, it's a good thing to pay attention to and just ask yourself, it's like, yeah, am I joyful every day, or, maybe I'm not. And if I'm not,
mhm,
need to change something. So,
Well, if you, yeah, because when you're in alignment with who you're here to be, that's when you really can shine, and that's when your charismatic self comes out. If you are if you're stuck doing something that is not meant for you, and it's hard, your whole life tells you it's hard. Your body starts hurting. It's like all these things, all these symptoms
mhm.
of what you tell you whether you're on the right path or not.
Hmm. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. So what would you recommend for people who want to build their charisma? Do you have some secrets that you can share?
Yeah, well, that I liked it. There's three main parts of what I would recommend. The first thing is getting really clear. So being clear and in alignment, like we were just talking about, really being clear on, how you're presenting yourself, what you're doing, how it feels. Like, are you excited about it? Because that's the the excitement has to come out, and people feel that. I was just talking about, conviction. When you have conviction for what you're doing, people feel that energy. And that's when your charisma comes out, is when you are excited and in alignment with what you're doing. And so the clarity piece, the alignment piece, is like the first piece that, is super, super important. Because if you're not clear, you're doubting yourself. And when you're doubting yourself, then everything becomes cloudy and overwhelming, and you shrink and your energy shrinks. I mean, it's all about energy, right?
Right. Yeah, it makes sense. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So what else can we do to build our confidence? I mean, I've been a shy person most of my life. You
Yep.
know, I don't have the big long Apollo finger. My Apollo finger's kind of short, especially
Yeah.
my Jupiter finger.
Interesting.
So,
Well,
yeah.
mine must have grown recently because I was always very shy, but I think it's like when you feel into. So here's the thing for introverts, because I feel like part of me is very introverted. I need time alone. In introverts need to find their own rhythm, right? There's a rhythm that feels good, and it looks like being seen, not being seen, not being seen, not being seen, being seen. It's like you've got to find out um, how much how much you can be public, how much in the public eye you can be, where your energy can shine. And if you burn out, like most people that are in 9 to 5 jobs burn out because they're not meant to be in working and being around people that long without taking care of themselves. And so, does that make sense to you?
Makes perfect sense.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, being authentic. So there's three things. The first one is alignment. Second one is really just being authentic. So in order to be authentic, we've got to peel off all of the layers. And it takes a while to, to figure out what those layers are that are keeping you safe and secure, also stuck. Because when we're safe and secure, we also feel boxed in. And so finding out how, loosening the layers of protection. And the protection might be, I don't feel like I can speak on a podcast, or I don't feel like I can be seen on a video, or whatever visibility things are stopping you, and asking yourself, is that the right path for you? Some people it's not. Some people would rather write, and that's the right path for them to be visible, and that's how their charisma shows through, is energetically through their writing. But we always think of it as you've got to be visible in your showing your face, and that's not. Your charisma can come through the energy in your words.
Mm-hmm. Sure, that makes sense. Yeah, you think about
Yeah.
a lot of the writers, they are very introverted, but
Yes.
they're still getting out a
Yes.
message. So yeah, there's different ways to
Exactly.
get it out. Yeah. Because like for me, getting up on stage is really difficult.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, I still say yes to it because I work on it and work on it. And it's like, okay, but it causes me a huge amount of stress.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
the anxiety and looking at like, an anxiety that's stretching you and pulling you towards your vision,
right.
where it's kind of like an excitement anxiety, or is it an absolute no? And there's a big difference between when it's something that you're not even meant to do. You can kind of
Mhm.
feel into that.
Right.
And I mean, it's really matching your energy with what you're supposed to be doing. So feeling into it. And I'm sure the hands, knowing your
Yeah.
hands,
Oh, yeah.
got to be like
Yeah.
spot on with that, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, that's where that's where the strong Jupiter finger comes in. Um, People who have long Jupiter fingers tend to be more comfortable with smaller groups.
Okay.
So we can do fine with, 20, even 30 people. Like still consider that a small group. But you get bigger than that, and then it's like the anxiety just goes through the roof after that.
Right.
So yeah, it's just interesting. Whereas an Apollonian can totally pull it off, and they may not even worry about it. They'd be like, oh yeah, it's just do it, whatever. It's no
It's
big
just
deal.
500 people.
Who cares?
It's 500 people. Yeah. I mean, it's there are ways to be visible and be, have your charisma shine. Um, I mean, so many different ways. So being on the stage, doing live videos, doing videos like this or podcasts with your voice, writing, lots of different ways to get your message out there. And I really think it's about your energy. It's
Mhm.
really about your energy. And if you're excited and in alignment, you're clear about what you're doing and you're clear about your vision, you know what you're being pulled towards, then you shine, then
Yeah.
that's your charisma. And you could, whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, you
Mhm.
know,
Sure.
people can feel your energy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So
So,
I think that's really fun.
so do you recommend that people get a little bit out of their comfort zone?
Yes, if it's in alignment with where they're going. So yes, we all have to get out of our comfort zone or else we won't go forward, right? So
Mhm.
that's what stretches us and moves us forward. But it's like,
Mhm.
is it moving you forward in the right direction?
Mhm.
Because there's so many things we could be doing. There's so many different strategies and opportunities and all these things. And it's like, what is right for you? And
Mhm.
stopping and seeing, is this the right thing for me? Is this moving me towards my vision, or is it derailing me? Because we really have to protect our energy. We have to, if you want to be charismatic and shine, you got to take time for yourself too.
Absolutely.
And that would be my third tip, is supreme self-care. And I like to say supreme self-care because my lesson has been, I burn myself out and I get sick. Like that's been my lesson in life. And it's like, oh, maybe if I slow down and take some time for me, then I don't have to get sick in order to take some time for me.
Hey, that's a great idea.
Yeah, it's like what?
Brilliant.
But it's we have to take time for ourselves to recharge, and supreme self-care means you're first. You get to be first. It's like, what do I need right now? And
Mm,
and often we don't ask ourselves that question.
that's true.
And
People
yeah,
don't. Yeah, absolutely. So
yeah,
would you recommend that we actually schedule time for ourselves
yeah.
if we need to? Because I think a lot of people do struggle with that, and I hear it a lot of times from clients, oh, I don't have time for that, you know?
Time is huge. Time is huge, and I'll tell you what expands time. When you are able to completely let go and relax, like completely relax. It's a
Mm,
practice. You've got to practice at it because we're
yeah,
not used
no
to
kidding.
relaxing. But if you can completely relax,
Hmm.
you'll notice that time expands. You have more time. The things you think you don't have time for, you do what you love to do, and there's still time left over to do those things that you needed to do. I've tested it, and it works.
That sounds amazing. I love this concept.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've played with time a little bit myself. And a few times I've really needed more time, and I've I've managed to pull it off.
Yeah.
It's amazing how that worked. But
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I test everything I do. And so I float in my hot tub at night.
mm,
And if I can get to that really peaceful place where I'm just totally relaxed, it feels like an hour. And
mm,
I look at my clock, and it's been 5 minutes.
mm,
It's just, but you get to that place where it's just like you're peaceful and you're in bliss, and everything's settled down, and you're totally recharged. And then you can go back in like 5 minutes. It takes 5 minutes, but it takes practice to get to that point of total relaxation, you know?
yes, for sure. Well,
I,
yeah, I love hot tubs too. So yeah, that's a great place to do it.
and that is my scheduled time. So you're asking about scheduling time. Yeah, I schedule time for myself in the morning, and I schedule my time for myself, throughout the day. And then, but specifically me in the morning, me in the evening. Those are like non-negotiables for me.
Yeah. Well, that sounds terrific. So you make it sound so easy too. I love that. It's like, wow, okay, so this really doesn't have to be like so difficult. It's like, no, just like tune in, figure out what you really like, who are you, and
Mhm.
take time. And it's like, wow, it's such a different way than most people I think are actually practicing.
It's so simple, it's hard. It really is so simple, it's hard. And it's funny because I'm all about like streamlining things and making things so simple, because we complicate things. And I really believe that we're here to to enjoy life. Like
Yeah.
how can you enjoy life? And we don't do that as part of our daily life. Like we hold it out there like it's something we shouldn't have. Like, oh, I really want to do this, but I shouldn't do it because I really enjoy it and I need to do these other things. No, it's the opposite. It's like the
Yeah.
opposite of what we've learned.
Right. It's like the 2 weeks of vacation a year, right? It's like, oh, I'm only allowed 2 weeks out of a whole year to enjoy myself.
Exactly. Yeah. And it takes 3 days to wind down, and then, it's like, yeah.
Yeah, no kidding. That's so funny.
But for people that have small kids at home, I like to say, make a little sign and have your kids make it with you. So it's part of like an art project where they know that you're making time for yourself, and you can hang that on the door and they know what it means. So it's not like you're saying, I'm not available. It's like they know that that's your special time, and you get to
Mhm,
do whatever you want. You could read, you could do yoga, you could take a nap, you can whatever, paint, whatever you like to do, but
mhm.
that fuels you, and that fuels your charisma. Like you've got to be on fire with your life.
Mhm.
You've got to have that thing
Yeah,
that you're really excited about, so that's what makes you shine.
yes. I love that. Yeah, my husband and I were that reminds me of a story when we were out skiing last winter, and we were just up on the chairlift, and you know how you always get to talk on the chairlift. That's
Yeah,
one thing I love about skiing, is it's really social, and it's
so
so much
fun.
fun. I love skiing so
Me
much.
too.
And anyway, so we're on the chairlift, we got 10 minutes to talk. And my husband turns to me and he goes, what do you want out of life? And it's like,
Oh,
ooh, what an awesome question.
yeah.
And I just loved that question because it really forced me to think, wow, you know what? I want everything.
Yeah.
And that really made me realize it's like I want the passion, I want the excitement, I want the love, I want the abundance. I mean, and that's what I told him too. I'm like, I want to suck everything out of life that I can.
Yeah.
And
And why not?
yeah, exactly. That's why we're here.
Yeah, I mean, and that question is so great because most of the time we don't give ourselves permission to ask that.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, so I think everybody should, okay, today's assignment, ask yourself,
Yeah.
what do you really, really want out of life? And your natural charisma is going to emerge from
Mm,
that. So,
yeah, just take time to stop and ask yourself, what do I need right now for me?
mhm. Yeah, that sounds beautiful.
Yeah.
So, yeah, well, thanks, Lisa. This has been such a great conversation.
You're welcome. It's like you said, it's so simple. It's hard, just align, get rid of all of the protection, the seriousness and the professionalism that you think you have to, carry around with you. Get rid of it and just be yourself and find things that you love,
Mhm.
and that energy just shines through.
Yeah, terrific. So tell us a little bit about how do people work with you, the things that you specialize in, and how do we reach you?
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, well, my website is a great way to reach me, and it's my name, lisameisels.com. And ways people work with me. Well, I have a group program starting this month, and I work with people one on one. And I sometimes do VIP days. I love to do retreats and events, so I'll have those going on in 2020. And so, yeah, I mean, I think I do a lot of customized work with people, because I like to go really deep. And what I do is I work with women who are in business who want to get very clear and aligned with their truth so that they can express it outwardly in their online presence and have that charisma carry through, that energy carry through, so that they can naturally attract their dream clients and high paying dream clients too. It's like I said that we work on packages and programs that are really customized for their clients and what they want. So that's what I do. I love it.
Oh, that's so great. All
So,
right. Yeah, it sounds like you help a lot of people. So
yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
So thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. This is so fun. I love what you do, Cynthia. I think it's just so interesting. And so thank you so much for spreading your word.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
And remember, everybody out there, that you can live the life you want regardless of your story.
Yes.
And have a fantastic day. Thank you for listening to Stories in Your Hands. Please rate, review, and subscribe to show your support. This podcast is sponsored by loveinyourhands.com, the place to find the secret ingredients to your soulmate. Start your free Soulmate Connection membership today using the most innovative and accurate algorithm to match you to potential long-lasting love, all at loveinyourhands.com.